Hey, Dimitri. Hey, so it's super rad. Thank you for updating the assets in level 1 for scene 1. I'm sliding around all over the place here. Oh my goodness. What's going on? Oh my god, I'm tangled up. I got problems. Sweet, sweet problems. All right, sorry about that. Okay, so why don't we just crack in real quick and take a look? So we're looking at the perspective shift on the buildings. So I know we met Sunday, and I think the gist of it is and this is the second time I'm doing this video because last time I had a problem. I had a corrupted file. I think the gist of it is that. So I appreciate that we have more depth now and that we've shifted the perspective. They look more like buildings. I also totally understand in this particular perspective shift, right? Like you're not seeing over the tops of the buildings. And it's still, even though I know it's supposed to be higher in the scene, right? And across the horizon line. It doesn't work very well for me in terms of my own aesthetic, right? Like when I look at the hangar or I look at this down here, there's something that I really like, and I know that we've got the camera and you've kind of got the horizon line, right? I just think that when we render buildings in the future and structures and things like that, I prefer more of this diametric perspective where we can see kind of where the depth of the top of the objects and the front, where we have more depth to it, right? So I don't think these ones turned out as well, and I get where we're at. So I think we can move on in this case. These will be fine, for being placed in the scene and working the way they do. I think we're totally okay in that space. And I'll go through and we'll do more of a design here on, on the additional buildings. So, and as we discussed, right, we'll figure out, I think, where we place the things like the Pall Mall, right? I feel like a Bob Ross moment, but, and I think, per our conversation on Sunday as well, I think one of the things I don't want to lose is I don't want to lose like how awesome like this is for the viewer, right? Like here's some cool signage, right? Here's like a weird infographic thing, right? Here's what it is. I think this gives us a lot of flavor for the world. And I think that it doesn't matter as much for players because they're going to be blowing shit up and trying to survive, right? Like this is more about the viewers, but also when the players do have a moment to take in the details, some cool signage for stuff. I think that that just helps us root the world, right? It helps us root the lore and the mythos of the world that we're building. And so I think, coming back to it, some of these are going to be closer in camera, and if they wind up being further away, because they're closer to the camera because they parallax faster, right? So that's kind of what we have here, as we kind of like covered, right? I like how fast that moves through the environment, but also if we wanted to be further away, I mean, in order to do that, in order to get that speed, then we also have to scale it down, and that's not terrible, but then we're counter scaling, and there are some things with MIPS and things that don't hold up as well. So I think part of it is we'll figure that piece out and how we actually wind up balancing how things parallax through the level, because that we're using like natural parallaxing for that, right? So okay, and then let's see. I think the other thing, because I just did this video twice now. So for the next version, so I think we're fine. Let's go ahead and render for both the Pall Mall and the billboard. I don't know what we're calling this one. I don't know, this storefront advertisement thing. But I think we also should then, in terms of these data streams, I like where we're at. So then what I want to do is I'm going to turn both of these into enemies. I think that'll be totally fine, because they're the only ones that really have that data stream. I might turn this one into an enemy as well. And then in order to save our texture memory, why don't we do the animation of the writing kind of diffusing itself and like having kind of like a matrix kind of flavor to it. And what we'll do is we'll attach them as particles. And then we'll use the particle engine then to basically render these little candy bits. So that'll save us a lot of texture memory. And then we can talk about, I don't think we have to go crazy with signage. I think we could probably do some really cheap things in terms of animations on these things that we want. I'm not overly excited to do that, but I think they're probably a tiny bit static, so some food for thought there. But okay, cool. So that's one thing, and unfortunately, let me take a look here. So I want to show you the PAL moon. Where are all my bits? Okay. And previous two. That's my one's fine. Oh. Okay. So the other thing that you put in is the Paltech moon animation. And by the way, it's really cool. Thank you for checking this in. Also, I saw that you took a little swing at like how fast you thought the thing should animate, which I thought was really neat. And I think my feedback here, seeing it, is that we're just too subtle. That's way too subtle. And so what I wound up doing, let me show you my version. So unfortunately, with the last video, I looked at it the very first time in Engine, and it definitely cracked me up. Man, but so it's going to crack me up less because I've already seen it now. But previous two. What did I do? Ken has? Oh, yeah. I did the wrong one. Previous, probably just two, but we took up the P for the plane, so I'm kind of trying to change my temporary naming file in the project. Okay, so, and then here we go. And there we go. Wait, you see this thing. All right. Yeah, so I know it's a lot more disco strobe and whatnot, but I do appreciate, let me see, I can probably just zoom in here. I do appreciate that the glitch that I wound up using is definitely more distinct, right? Like, it just has more visual character. I think we need to be over the top. We're too subtle sometimes. And even though we're slicing parts of the planet, it almost feels like the projector, the hollow projector, is like a planetary or a moon system, and so it can project anything into the missing atmosphere of the planet. And so like, and when you get the slight slice on the planet and maybe the color shift, I keep calling it planet, but the moon, I think that it has a more character. I don't think this is completely it, but you can kind of see the direction I'm going, and I'll let you give me feedback on what you think. So, and then in order to facilitate that, all I wound up doing was I'll attach the Photoshop file. So I have the Photoshop file here. I just did a mask out, and then I started in Canva. I was pretty lazy, so in Canva, I basically just pulled in the main sprite sheet, and then here I basically did just I applied a slice. And I think, you know, like, we should use the tools at hand. Like, if you can get better slices out of Photoshop and you know how to do that, then fair. But I don't think there's anything wrong with using Canva to, I mean, we pay for it, to also apply some of our effects. So what was this? Effects over here. Oops, I don't want to do that. I don't need a face retouch. Here it is. See all. There we go. Yeah. So in our Canva account, there is a slice, and then I think so. Minced and normal slice. I used a little of both, but there's like a basic slider there. It's actually interesting. I thought. Why is that? Is that none? Slice and a 1. Edit. No, edit. Yeah, so I mean, here you can change your offset. I think offset a little bit there was a thing. Yeah, so, and like, I think there's stuff that you can do with that. So but yeah, so all I wound up doing is, I think, That's it's the problem when I'm playing with stuff. Okay, yeah. So I wound up doing that, and then started to add the kind of color burn. I thought it was kind of interesting. You know, again, if you're not super hot about the color burn, we could also do the thing where we accentuate. We only have 4 frames, but we accentuate the like some of the circuitry and colorization, the glowing bits of that, and then I basically had the high color burn, which I really liked, but it also wound up changing the Paltech projection. But you know, give me feedback. I know I'm a little crazy with this, but I think that just it paints a whole other, like, we're sort of corporate conglomerate, in your face content creation machine, right? Like I think that you know, there's a lot that we're still trying to identify, where we do have kind of that buttoned up thing, but we also have this appeal to, like, you know, again, when we look at like how you come to Paltech world, you know, like you have in the warp gate, you have one more that I missed, the portal. Yeah. So, but I mean, you know, like we kind of have our party domes, right? Like, you know, like they're not quite as crazy, but I mean, I think some of the style also is I think that it's not that far off. So, okay. Yeah, so I'll upload those files. I'll get this video up to you. I'll check this stuff in to source, so you have my latest revisions there. And I'm looking forward to hearing what you think. For the folks following along, feel free to have opinions. We will listen and try very hard to respond to all our comments. Thank you very much for all the people giving feedback. It's really cool. The game, you know, the game is our game and something we love, but it's also everyone's game in that, you know, you can have opinions, better, worse. Same, doesn't matter, because we take it all into consideration and we think deeply about this stuff. So, and we welcome all feedback, of course, because you never know when you give a piece of feedback, an idea, and then a little of you is now in the game. All right. We'll catch up to everyone soon. Thank you.